All through human history, migration has been a courageous expression of the individual's will to overcome adversity and to live a better life. Today, globalization, along with advances in communications and transportation, has greatly increased the number of people who have the desire and capacity to move to other places. Now, this new era has undoubtedly created challenges and opportunities for societies throughout the world. It has also served to underscore the clear link between migration and development, as well as the opportunities it provides for co-development. That is, the concerted improvement of economic and social conditions at both origin and destination. Now, as the world marks International Migrants' Day, it would therefore be pertinent to ask, how can migration be used to stimulate cohesion in all ramifications? How can the challenges confronting migrants and migration be turned into opportunities? These are just some of the questions that will shape our conversation on this edition of Nigeria Today. My name is Dennis Adigunloye. Welcome. All right, in the studio to discuss migration and socio-economic cohesion is Franz Celestine, Chief of Mission at the International Organization for Migration. Many thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. And also joining us is Charles Nwanelu Anelu, Head Migration at the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Thanks also for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me come to Franz first. Migration, just tell us, as over time, how important has it become for citizens around the world to be able to freely move around?
Right. Migration has always been an important part of human civilization, but increasingly we see people on the move, and that requires for the whole globe to come together and provide a structure for people on the move. And this is why the Global Compact for for orderly migration was brought into bear by the member states. We see a lot of people on the move to improve their social economic conditions, and because the population of the globe is increasing, so we have more and more people on the move. This year we accounted for 272 million international migrants, and if you include internal migrants, we have about 1/5 of the global population as migrants. So it's extremely important.
272 million, you said?
On the move, international.
Would that not be considered as quite a small figure, given the global population?
It's small if we comparatively, but it's quite a number of people on the move. Yes.
All right, Charles, let's get your initial thoughts on International Migrants' Day and how important it is to be able to freely move by citizens.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first start by saying that migration has been with a human being and will continue to be. And you know, you cannot talk about the development of any country or any state without talking about migration. So migration is very important in issues of development and the socio-economic well-being of both the destination and the origin countries. And the only thing now that is happening that many people on the move for so many other reasons, not just only for the economic aspect of it, but because they are now forced to move, which is creating a lot of issues, making Nigeria now, making migration to look at it so that it is a problem to be solved instead of a reality to be managed. So the issues of migration are actually has a link with the development.
All right, no doubt some of these issues that, as you say, cause people to be forced to migrate include obviously being in a war-torn country, for example, poverty-stricken country. Just highlight for us these critical issues that lead people to feel they need to migrate.
Yes, it is of two ways. Let me start by talking on the issues of those who are forced, not because they want to move, because of the issue that is happening around them. And those issues can be described in so many ways. First, on this, the issues of climate change. All over so many countries, particularly in the African, the Sahara, the African, you discover that the issues of climate change is making people to move because of the changes, and the people now cannot, for example, the pastoral farmers who cannot have enough to now the green grass to now feed their destiny, and when they move in that, you see the kind of challenges it poses in the destination country when they go to a crisis. So move because of conflict and crisis. And then on the other side of it, on the economic aspect of it, some people move because they want to better their circumstances and also add value to their family. So there are so many reasons why people move. It depends on the circumstances and the environment.
All right, Franz, what would then be the consequences of large-scale migration?
Well, that
adverse or otherwise.
Okay, yes. I mean, here too, the mass movement of people sometimes create tensions in communities. Too often, that native populations view mass influx as an invasion, and this is something that we need to address. We as human beings tend to be afraid of things that we don't know and cultures that we have not been exposed to. So to address this, the consequences is a backlash, where you have wholesale xenophobic attacks. There could be pushback or the restriction in border access. And of course, that plays into local politics, and it makes it even harder to address such an issue. But people on the move, if they do so regularly, as Charles pointed out, they contribute to the local economy, the economic development, sciences, and innovation.
Yeah. Charles, just how much has migration influenced socio-economic life of host countries, for example?
If you listen to news, for example, the issues of remittances, you know, when we talk about remittances, we are now talking about how migration is impacting on the origin countries, those who remit. But you discover that those migrant workers who are in the host countries, they pay taxes to the countries, and most of them are professionals who have left their countries to contribute to the economy. For example, we have so many Nigerian doctors and nurses who are over there, and they're making waves in the areas of special medical aspect of it. They're contributing to that economy, and as well as ensuring the well-being of the destination countries.
All right, coming back to you, Franz, what should be the attitude of host countries towards migrants?
Right, I mean, they should have an evidence-based approach to migrants, because far too often migrants are demonized, and they often used as scapegoats. They said migrants bring crimes when in fact the statistics don't support it. They said migrants rely on the welfare system when in fact that's not the case. Their attitude is should be as welcoming as possible, and opening the space, because a lot of people migrate irregularly because of the tight fists that we see from some countries. So if we have regular pathways, more student visas, more family reunification, more humanitarian visas, and more work visas, a lot more people will go the regular pathways, because very few people will needlessly expose themselves to the desert, to the high seas, if the pathway is available. They should see migrants as potential contributors to the economy, contributors to the educational system, and even to the social security system, because some countries have aging population, they're not working, but when you inject young blood from different countries, they pay the taxes that Charles talks about, and they pay into the social security system that is taking care of the older folks in these countries.
Sure, but Charles, conversely, the migrants obviously need to conform to the standards and practices of any country that they migrate to, to better improve this observation or this perception of migrants being there to maybe cause trouble or whatever the case may be. They need to obey the laws of the host countries as well.
Definitely, wherever you are, even in, for example, we in Nigeria, as even Nigerian citizens, you are expected to obey the law of the country. So wherever you go. So, but let me talk on the issues of the attitude of destination countries. First, everyone must not see migration as a problem to be solved. We should also see it as a reality that is there. So we all join hands together to manage it. And because most of the challenges we are experiencing is based on the type of narrative that the destination countries and the indigenous of those countries are proclaiming. They have taken over our jobs, they have taken over our this, they have taken over our that. And they are not looking at what are the contribution of those other people. And is there a special job meant for foreigners? No. The job vacancies are there. They are given to qualified people. So if we have the right narrative and the right attitude, you see, for example, if you listen to some news or foreign news most of the time, you will discover what to be saying that, hey, so many people died in the Mediterranean Sea, so many people moving, some breaking laws, but they don't tend to highlight that there are foreigners who are specialists that they cannot find in their country, and they are in their country contributing. They don't highlight that. For example, they don't highlight that if you go to their universities, we have foreigners who are paying school fees and who are making waves, getting first class. They are not celebrated. And that is why this International Migrant Day is just a celebration of migrants who are not just only contributing to the origin countries, but also to the destination countries. We should celebrate them, as well as also be in solidarity with those who are forced to move. Not just because they don't like their country any longer, but because it is no longer safe for them to stay there. So it is both ways.
Okay. Would you believe that we as Nigerians celebrate our success stories in countries abroad enough, or is there need to be more, notice and recognition for them?
I think even if it seems that Nigeria is not celebrating or not, Nigeria is committed. And that is why the Diaspora Commission is established to harness and tap and also showcase that we have these talented Nigerians over there contributing and also trying to lure them to come back home and contribute. That is a way of celebrating the success of Nigeria. And if you look at some of the activities of the Diaspora Commission, they try to always showcase any success story of any Nigerian, wherever they are. And I think that is a way of encouraging Nigerians who are over there, and also let them know that we are here, and we expect them to come back home and help in developing their countries.
All right, Franz, let's just go back to this global compact for migration. Just tell us what the International Organization of Migration is doing in this regard once again.
Right. So the Global Compact for Migration was created by the General Assembly with the member state. This is the first member state-led international instrument looking specifically at migration. It creates a framework within which the states can operate, and with its 23 objectives that, if were to follow, would ease the movement of people and make it easier for states to manage. IOM is the United Nations Secretary General also created this United Nations network to actually oversee the implementation of the GCM. And IOM is the lead on that network, and we also serve as the secretariat. Okay. Our job now is to assist the member states in implementing those 22 objectives.
All right, and how many member states are there?
Oh, no, all of the, well, some did not vote for it, but it was the vast majority of it. I think it was about 172 voted for it, but the other ones will come around.
Sure. All right, we'll take a quick break now. You're watching Nigeria Today on NTA News 24, and our topic is migration and socio-economic cohesion. We'll take a break and hear some thoughts of Nigerians on the streets with our correspondent Victoria Bayeti Ali.
Generally, migration, to a very large extent, it has a benefit, and in other way around, it has some disadvantages. When you look at the rural setting, people migrate, they leave what they are doing there to look for a greener pasture in the city. Then they abandon their original occupation
The gains of migrative is that if you are not being productive from area where you are coming from and can come in a place and settle there, you might be productive there. That is looking for a greener pasture. You can come there and your future become brighter in that place. So that is one major thing for migration.
We have so many Nigerians who are in Europe, who are in Asia, around the world, the globe. They remedy their proceeds of what they get from these countries back home. We sustain so many families. We boost our economy as a country. That's one thing. And at times, if you migrate and you're not a good ambassador, you bring down the name of your country in shadows. We have heard so much about Nigerians who are in Europe, who are involved in what's unwholesome conducts, immoral conduct like drug addict and all kind of things. Yes, they are there. But mind you, what do you do to project your family, your state, your country, and you yourself as a person?
Another place, either to seek knowledge, yeah, to improve on their standard of living, for safety, security. So people have various reasons.
Immediately you have a reason to leave where you are presently to another place, and the reasons you want to leave are best defined, or you are able to achieve the reasons why you want to live in where you're going to. That becomes your benefit.
All right, welcome back to the studio. We are still with Franz Celestine and Charles Anello as our guests on this topic. Charles, quite some interesting comments from members of the public there. I would say that they are quite versed and understand the basic issues concerning migration. Just give us your thoughts on what you heard.
Yeah, I think that is very interesting, and that is one of the key things that we are trying to do now, to educate the general public on issues of migration. Because, like for example, one word I want to pick on is the issue of the word of greener pastures.
Yeah,
there's need for us to understand that it is not as green as we think over there, because that is what is pushing so many persons to move. And the Nigerian migration governance structure is not looking at stopping migration. What we are trying to do is to ensure that if you must migrate, you should do that safely and also in regular circumstances. So you must be informed. And that is why Nigerian government has created so many migration resource centers to educate the potential migrants. If you want to move, you go and ask questions. What is happening and what is expected of you. So when we're talking about greener pasture, yes, there may be greener pasture, but do you have the right scale to be engaged when you get over there for that greener pasture you are talking about? So these are my take on that.
Some people migrate to another country thinking they're going to find the greener pasture, but find out that things are not as rosy as they think, and they are almost desperate to return home. All right, friends, let's talk then about irregular migration. What's organizations like your own and others doing to check the challenges posed by irregular migration?
Right. First, one thing we have to do is to understand why people migrate.
Yeah.
And why are they forced to go the irregular route. In most cases, it's actually a lot more expensive to go the irregular way. It's definitely a lot more dangerous. So what we do is, as Charles pointed out, is to educate those who the potential migrants, because we believe that an informed migrant is a safer migrant. So we've done quite a bit in terms of community theater, working with the traditional leaders, the royal highnesses in the various areas, the government authorities, and also using migrants as messengers. We actually have a program, Migrants as Messengers, where migrants who've experienced this and working with them. We also just launched Waka Well, which is a program that is informing those about migration, and we have a radio series called Abroad Matter, which in Pidgin English, that is educating those who may. So there are a number of educational instruments that we're using to assist those who want to migrate and inform them. Okay,
Charles, what would you say then would be steps taken with regards to laws? Would you say immigration laws should be relaxed to further boost the, reducing irregular migration? Is there a case for immigration laws to be relaxed?
Well, the issues of migration laws, it depends on the countries. They have their right, the sovereignty is there.
Yeah.
But one of the key things, let me use Nigeria for example. If you listen to the bold statement made by our president, Muhammad Buhari, last time, that non-visa on arrival
yeah,
for all African countries. And that is to encourage free movement within the African countries. And if there are free movement, I can assure you, the issues of irregular migration will begin to disappear. Not just reduce, but disappear. But because of some of these restrictions, and the people are now, for example, if you travel and you feel that if you leave, if you get back, then you may not have the opportunity of coming back again. You may decide to be there, and then you are breaking the laws of the country. But if you know that you can always go and come back, then you feel free.
Yep.
So our president has really done well and have really taken a lead to entrench that free movement. And if there is free movement, there will probably be not just only free movement of goods, because it's human being that pushes the goods. Also, free movement, and that brings a lot of ease on migrants of Africa. Because one of the greatest challenge we have is to move even within Africa.
Yeah.
You can easily move within European countries than to travel to an African countries on the visa distance. So our president has done a very great work there, and that is the way to go.
All right, Franz, let's get your take on visa on arrival to Nigeria.
Well, I think it's a fantastic idea. It sets Nigeria apart. Well, there are some African countries that are doing it. Rwanda, I think, set this pace, but for such a massive continental power as Nigeria to do it, everybody else will follow. And especially on the continent, certainly in West Africa. Nigeria has always been at the forefront, especially looking at the Global Compact on Migration. So I'm not surprised this is a very good step. And of course that requires, Nigeria still has the authority to control who comes and who goes and for how long, for what purpose.
All right, Franz Celestine, Chief of Mission, International Organization for Migration. Many thanks for your contributions.
Thank you so much.
And expertise and insights on our topic. And also thanks to Charles Nwanelu Anelu, Head Migration at the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. Thanks also for your comments and insight on our topic today.
Thank you for having us.
All right. And to our viewer, thanks for watching. And remember, you can watch this edition or any other every day at 7:30 p.m. and also on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Thanks for watching. I'm Dennis Adigunloye. Thank you, sir.